Hello, Tamara Green here for A Course in Miracles, lesson number 45. Okay, I want to wake up. So I'm going to tap all over my head using my fingertips and tapping all over the crown of my head and then all along the back, kind of back and forth, all the way down to the base of your skull. And then back up, and then the sides, back and forth, from temple to back, and back and forth you go. I'm waking up. Okay, around my ears. Okay, again, base of the skull and down the neck. And one more time on top. Very good. Feel more awake now. A Course in Miracles, lesson number 45. God is the mind in which I think. Today's idea holds the key to what your real thoughts are. They are nothing that you think, just as nothing that you think you see is related to vision in any way. There is no relationship between what is real and what you think is real. Nothing that you think are your real thoughts resemble your real thoughts in any respect. Nothing that you think you see bears any resemblance to what vision will show you. You think with the mind of God, therefore you share your thoughts with Him. As He shares His with you, they are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same mind. To share is to make alike or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with the mind of God leave your mind, because thoughts do not leave their source. Therefore, your thoughts are in the mind of God, as you are. They are in your mind as well, where He is. As you are part of His mind, so are your thoughts part of His mind. Where then are your real thoughts? Today we will attempt to reach them. We will have to look for them in your mind because that is where they are. They must still be there because they cannot have left their source. What is thought by the mind of God is eternal, being part of creation. Our 3 5-minute practice periods for today will take the same general form that we used in applying yesterday's idea. We will attempt to leave the unreal and seek for the real. We will deny the world in favor of truth. We will not let the thoughts of the world hold us back. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what God would have us do is impossible. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what God would have us do is possible. We will also try to understand that only what God would have us do is what we want to do. And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what He would have us do. There is every reason to feel confident that we will succeed today. It is the will of God. Begin the exercises for today by repeating the idea to yourself, closing your eyes as you do. Then spend a fairly short period in thinking a few relevant thoughts of your own, keeping the idea in mind. After you have added some 4 or 5 thoughts of your own to the idea, repeat it again and tell yourself gently, my real thoughts are in my mind. I would like to find them. Then try to go past all the unreal thoughts that cover the truth in your mind and reach the eternal. under all the senseless thoughts and mad ideas with which you have cluttered up in your mind are the thoughts that you thought with God in the beginning. They are all there in your mind now, exactly as they always were. Everything you have thought since then will change, but the foundation on which it rests is wholly changeless. It is this foundation toward which the exercises for today are directed. Here is your mind joined with the mind of God. Here are your thoughts one with His. For this kind of practice, only one thing is necessary. Approach it as you would an altar dedicated in heaven to God the Father and to God the Son. For such is the place you are trying to reach. You will probably be unable as yet to realize how high you are trying to go. Yet, even with the little understanding you have already gained, you should be able to remind yourself that this is no idle game, but an exercise in holiness and an attempt to reach the kingdom of heaven. In the shorter exercise periods for today, try to remember how important it is to you to understand the holiness of the mind that thinks with God. Take a minute or two as you repeat the idea throughout the day to appreciate your mind's holiness. Stand aside, however, briefly from all thoughts that are unworthy of Him whose host you are, and thank Him for the thoughts He is thinking with you. God is the mind in which I think. So I think everyone around the world remembers this day. It was the day that the World Trade Centers came down on 9/11. And I had an office in New York City where I would see my clients. And it was the following Tuesday. And I remember being in the city, and there was some kind of a military plane that flew over, because at that time it was the only plane that could fly over Manhattan. But I noticed not only myself, but all the people around me just terrified, looking up into the sky as if there was another plane that was going to fly into New York City and crash into us. And the fear that I saw on people's faces and felt also within myself at that moment. And as I was watching the news, I felt like I kept getting re-traumatized with all the footage and the crying and the interviewing of the people longing for their lost ones and trying to find them in the rubble and the rest of it. And I remember making a very important decision that I know that my purpose here is to be love in action. And watching the news keeps putting me back into fear. And I know that's not in alignment with my highest purpose here. If I join with the mind of God, the internal wisdom that I was getting for myself was not to watch the news and not to read the news. And I really haven't since. I have not watched, listened to, or read the news ever since. And I do hear what's going on in the world, mostly through friends, family, clients, that sort of thing. But I don't purposely seek out to watch the news. And I'm not suggesting this for you. I'm just putting it out there because it was something that made a really big impact on me in terms of noticing how I woke up with not fear on my mind, but God on my mind and love on my mind. I used to wake up and listen to the news, and I noticed how different I felt waking up, not in this state of fear and anxiety and what's this world coming to, and oh my goodness, it's, how can we ever repair all the, violence and hatred and war and racism and the rest of it. So I don't wake up like that anymore. I wake up with a lot of hope. I feel like I'm aligned with the mind of God. And I think more and more as God thinks, or as God will have me think. Again, love is the mind in which I think, right? God, love, both are very appropriate here. Love is the mind in which I think. For me, watching the news, listening to the news, reading the news, kind of takes me right out of that space. So it's just something for you to think about. What is that thing that you do that just, or, that habit that you have that kind of puts you back into that place of fear or upset? And question yourself, is that really working for me? Is that really helping myself or anyone else? So, food for thought. All right, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.